What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we cover everything you need to know about on a daily basis. And it's a massive day today here. The new inflation report is out and it is crazy. Inflation continues to remain near and at a 40-year high. And to combat inflation, the Republicans and a major Republican senator and former governor has a plan to tax all Americans at higher rates. And I'll let you hear it directly from him and I'll show it to you here. And I'll get your thoughts here on this and whether or not what this could mean here for us. Let's jump right in because this is going to be, yeah, there's a lot going on here. Don't forget to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos. But yeah, the new inflation report for April has just come in and inflation continues to remain sky high. Check this out.
The numbers, please. And here they are, our consumer price index for the month of April. Headline, expected up 0.2 is up 0.3. And do remember, this is a big drop from up 1.2 last month, which was the highest since 2005. If you strip out the all-important food and energy, expected up 0.4, a bit more, up 0.6. The high water mark here is up 0.9, and that was in April of last year, and that went back to 1981. And the Moneyball year-over-year headline up 8.3%. It breaks the streak of 7 higher year-over-years in a row because in the rearview mirror we have 8.5%, and of course 8.5% takes us back 4 decades. It is a small reprieve, but a reprieve nonetheless. And if we look at core ex-food and energy year over year, same dynamic. It's higher than the 6% expected, Joe. It was up 6.2. 6.5 in the rearview mirror is the highest since 82. So we've definitely moderated just a bit. We see interest rates, well, they have changed rather dramatically. Rates across the board pretty much, and especially the long maturities, have moved higher from down 5 to up 4 or 5, over 3% again on a 10-year. And the reason is quite obvious, is that even though there is moderation, the moderations are small, but we do want to keep a very close eye on several things here. And the first, of course, is that food and energy really did throttle up to the upside. So when we looked at headline, when you stripped out food and energy, the fact that it moved up showed us that those moderated a bit in the headline number. Yesterday, what did we learn? $4.37 a gallon. That's a new high for gas. So some of that feature of energy prices moderating a bit may be something tenuous at best. I'll kick it back to the team to discuss some of these numbers.
Yeah, so inflation relatively about the same pertaining to the month before March. This is the April numbers that have just come out. April or March's was 8.5%, the main number that everybody follows. March or April now 8.3, March was 8.5. So a little bit down, but other rates have gone up, like the core CPI rate actually was higher than expected by 0.6%. So it really depends on what rate of inflation you're looking at. But the problem here now is that gas prices have just reached an all-time high, and now they're even higher today. Even higher today. Yesterday's all-time high of regular gas was $4.37 across the U.S. Of course, way higher if you live in California, which is the largest state in the nation. They just have much higher taxes and a different blend of fuel. But now it's gone up even higher. It's $4.40 here in the U.S. Diesel is $5.55. And you can see here how much it's gone up in a week. A week ago it was $4.22 for regular gas. Now it's $4.40. Diesel a week ago was $5.42. Now it's $5.55. All the while, oil is spiking up here as well. Oil, remember just yesterday, WTI crude was only $99 a barrel. And that has spiked up here, you can see, 5.89% since just yesterday. And Brent crude also spiking up 5% here. Even with this spike, this is still significantly lower than the highs we had in March for oil. This spiked at around 135. Brent crude spiked at 140. We're still significantly lower than the highs we've seen in March for oil. Okay. So the problem here with this is that gas companies are gouging us because we're well below the highs that we've seen of oil. And the gas prices should not be at all-time highs. You can see here, we're highest recorded average prices ever today. Today. But oil prices are not at all-time highs. So these gas companies, BP, Exxon, Shell, are just charging us whatever they want because they know we have to pay it. We have to fill up our gas tanks. And if you have an electric car, guess what? Energy, electricity costs are rising up as well. So we're literally stuck. They're just charging us whatever they want, no matter what the price of oil is, and we have to pay it. Yeah, it's just crazy. And the oil and gas companies are just charging us whatever they want, no matter what the price of oil was. Price of oil was $99 a barrel yesterday, and we still hit an all-time high. Even though the all-time high of oil back in March was 135, 140 a barrel, that's okay. They're still going to charge us whatever they want. All-time high, sure, go for it. They're going to charge us whatever they want. Yeah, so meanwhile, congressmen, lawmakers, Republicans, Democrats, the president, nobody has a clue what to do, right? Here's what the president has to say, and then I'll show you what the Republican side wants to say. They want to raise taxes on everybody. I'll show it directly from the horse's mouth here. Uh, you're going to see the president bash Republican Senator Rick Scott, who also used to be the governor of Florida for 8 years from 2011 to 2019. He's now a Republican senator from Florida. He has a plan to raise taxes for all Americans, and basically every American would pay taxes. Right now, there's over 50% of Americans that do not pay federal taxes. In fact, I'll show you a headline here on the screen. Back from 2020 taxes, that's the latest full tax year that we have data on, because 2021 taxes, which people are filing now here in 2022, that's not completed yet. People are still filing 2021 taxes right now. But this is back from when former President Donald Trump was president. So keep that in mind. We had a Republican president. 61% of Americans paid no federal income taxes in 2020. Okay. So even if you did pay federal taxes, if you got a refund, okay, you may have been net negative. Okay. If your stimulus check 1 and stimulus check 2, those are actually advanced tax refunds. Okay. So those actually, if you paid some federal taxes, stimulus checks are actually considered tax refunds. Okay, so that kind of, if you actually do the math, that's kind of comes off of your federal taxes, even though if you just got to kind of figure out the math, right? So if you paid $1,000 in federal taxes for the year, but then you got a $1,200 stimulus check and a $600 stimulus check, technically you paid no federal taxes. So you got to kind of equate that, right? And then if you got a tax refund as well, technically you didn't pay any federal taxes to the government. You got to kind of figure all this out, right? So at the end of the day, 61% of Americans actually paid no money to the government, or the government paid them with refunds. They paid $0 or less. So at the end of the day, in 2020, and who knows what 2021 is going to be, something similar or more, the government made $0 or less on 61% of Americans. And this is why this Republican Senator Rick Scott, who used to be the governor of Florida, wants all Americans to have skin in the game and everybody to pay taxes. You can let me know your thoughts on this. We'll hear from him in a second. First, here's the president combating this, talking about inflation, and it's crazy times right now. Check this out.
Americans have a choice right now between two paths, reflecting two very different sets of values. My plan attacks inflation and grows the economy by lowering costs for working families, giving workers well-deserved raises, reducing the deficit by historic levels, and making big corporations and the very wealthiest Americans pay their fair share. The other path is the ultra MAGA plan put forward by congressional Republicans to raise taxes on working families, lower the income of American workers, threaten sacred programs Americans count on like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and give break after break to big corporations and billionaires, just like they did the last time they were in power, when their top priority was the reckless $2 trillion tax cut, majority of that going to the very wealthiest Americans, which ballooned the deficit and not a penny of it was paid for. Look, I know you got to be frustrated. I know. I can taste it. Frustrated by high prices, by gridlock in Congress, by the time it takes to get anything done. Believe me, I understand the frustration. But the fact is, congressional Republicans, not all of them, but the mega Republicans are counting on you to be as frustrated by the pace of progress, which they've done everything they can to slow down, that will hand power over to them and enact so they can enact their extreme agenda. Look at their agenda. We'll put up on a webpage somewhere, I think I can do this, the Scott Plan. It's in writing. We need a government focused on what families actually need. So I urge all Americans to think about the path I've laid forward. We're going to have to do more beyond what I laid forward. But then think about the Republicans in Congress are actually proposing. Which path is right for you and for your family, and quite frankly, for America? Let's build on the extraordinary process and progress we've made instead of tearing it down. Let's focus on what matters.
Next up, here's a headline from the New York Times about Rick Scott's income plan, income taxes for all. And here is a video from Fox News interviewing Republican Senator Rick Scott from Florida. He used to be the governor from Florida. Here he is. Let me know your thoughts.
Senator Rick Scott, Wisconsin, a member of the Senate Republican leadership, laid it all out in a plan. It's the ultra MAGA agenda. Their plan is to raise taxes on 75 million American families.
Well, there you have it. Joining me now is the aforementioned Florida Senator Rick Scott. Just want to qualify that. Nothing wrong with Wisconsin. Mr. Scott happens to be from Florida. He's also the chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee. You know, Senator Scott, first of all, welcome back to the show. I want to get your response. I just want to read. This is from your 11-step plan for America's future. All Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax. Now, from that little small, tiny paragraph, you have become Biden's favorite whipping guy, and they've priced out a whole thing here. 75 million middle-class people, $1,500 tax hikes, half of small business, 82% making less than. I mean, it's really quite remarkable. I'm not aware that you've done a price out or any legislative details. But why don't first respond to Biden. Are you representing congressional Republican policy?
Well, first off, I represent Rick Scott, and what my belief is, I'm a business guy that grew up in public housing, born to a single mom, and I know the importance of a job. So the whole point of this is we've got to figure out how to get this country back to work. We've got low labor participation. We've got a GDP that's going down. We've got inflation of 8.5% at 40-year high. We've got inflation growing way faster than wages. We've got mortgage rates up. I mean, this is not working. And what the president's doing is he lies about things. Go to rescueamerica.com. There's 11 steps, 128 policy points. But here's what we've got to do. We have got to act like we want to get inflation under control, balance the budget. We need to be energy independent. We need to eliminate this ridiculous regulatory state. We need to streamline the permitting. We've got to buy more American products. Then the Federal Reserve has got to reduce their balance sheet. If you do all those things together, guess what? Inflation is going to come down. I ran on a job to get our state back to work back in 2010 when I ran. Our state was in trouble. Florida was in trouble. More people left the state the year I moved in. We'd lost 800,000 jobs. And with my plan, we added 1.7 million jobs. Joe Biden has no plan. You listen to his press conference today was supposed to be about his ideas on inflation. No, his ideas on attacking people, whether the Federal Reserve or Putin or the pandemic. It was never ever his fault. So we can do this. But Biden doesn't have a plan. I think in business, you know what he'd be doing right now? He'd be resigning. People say, this guy's got no plan. He's not going to run my company. That's what he ought to do now. That's how we're going to get inflation down. We got to get somebody that understands the economy. He doesn't.
Senator Scott, so I get it. Biden playing the blame game today. Do you believe all Americans should pay some income tax, even if it's a small amount, to keep skin in the game? And I just wondered, have you or your staff done, is there a more formal legislative proposal? Is there a price out? In other words, what did you mean with this point in your 11-point plan?
Larry, my point was we ought to get all able-bodied Americans back to work. The Democrats have created programs, which we need safety nets. You know, I grew up in public housing. We need safety nets. I understand the reason, the value of safety nets, but we're not supposed to make people dependent on government. That's what the Democrats want to do. And so what I want to do is, my whole point is, if you want to get people to have skin in the game, you get them a job. That's what I did. When I left as governor of Florida, we had taken the number of people on unemployment in 8 years down from about 1 million down to 61,000. We didn't kick people off. What we did is we got them a job. Then they're in the capitalist system in this country. They're participating, they're paying taxes, and they're paying either sales taxes or income taxes or property taxes. That's what we ought to do. That's how you're going to build this economy. But Biden's what he lied about. He lied about he's reducing the deficit. He's not reducing the deficit. This is the guy, when he took office in the U.S. Senate, the national debt was less than $1 trillion, and now it's 30, and his plan is to take it to 45 trillion. So what Biden did today is either is completely confused or he completely lied.
If I've never really thought through this, but if you had everyone pay something, now when you say the income tax, does that include the payroll tax?
Yeah, they pay payroll taxes. They'll pay, they'll pay sales tax. I mean, if you want to build a country, you don't build it on people not working. You build it on people working. I guess when they have a job, they buy homes, they pay property taxes, they buy furniture, they pay sales taxes. They have a job, they pay payroll taxes, they pay into the Medicare program, the Social Security program, which we've got to figure out how to make sure that survives. And what he said today, he lied on that also. I've been clear. I want to make sure Medicare sticks around. He actually supported cutting Medicare and Social Security when he was in the U.S. Senate. So this guy, Biden just completely lied or he's completely confused. But either way, it's bad for the country.
Before we I want to get to the sunset provisions in a second, but I just want to say, have you or your staff calculated if everybody paid some income tax and or payroll tax, which I think is what you're getting at, would that generate higher taxes on lower income people or middle income people? Have those calculated? That's what he's accusing you of, and then he's sort of a blanket accusation for the whole Republican Party, calling it the Congressional Republican Plan, which I know that's not your intent. But I'm just saying, have you calculated? For years, conservatives have made this argument, but you have so many tax credits, refundable, non-refundable nowadays, and subsidies. So would lower income people wind up having a tax hike under your idea?
Larry, the way I look at it is, what I've said is, if they have a job, they're going to be part of this country, and they're all going to pay into it. I don't believe in raising taxes. As a matter of fact, I cut taxes and fees 100 times while I was governor. So I'm not going to raise anybody's taxes, but I do know if you get people a job, they're part of this whole capitalist system that also will reduce the number of people on our safety nets because they don't need them. They'll be able to buy their own health insurance. They'll be able to pay for their own housing. They won't need food stamps. Think of what that's going to do to our cost structure will go down, and our revenues will grow because people are, they're participating in the entire capitalistic system.
On the question of sunsetting, Biden is also accusing you of this Republican plan that would sunset Social Security and Medicare, meaning end those entitlement programs. Was that your intent?
No, what I said was, first off, on Medicare and Social Security, Congress, which never talks about the fact that Medicare is going bankrupt in 4 years and Social Security goes bankrupt in 12. They're never talking about it. So I said, Congress ought to do a report every year at exactly what they're going to do to make sure people get their Medicare benefits and Social Security benefits. Now, with regard to other programs, we ought to look at those, see if we still need them. But let's think about how disingenuous Biden was. We don't fund the military for 10 years. We fund the military every year. Does that mean we do that we're not going to fund the military? We have a plan not to fund our military? Of course not. We know that we have to have a Medicare program that works. But the Biden just signed a bill that puts Medicare in a worse financial position. And again, he supported cutting Medicare. I would never do that.
And the other one, though, I think that I noticed this. No government assistance unless you're disabled or seeking work. In other words, you're in favor of workfare, which I think kind of plays into your idea that if you're working, then you'll be paying taxes and contributing to the coffers.
If you're able-bodied, you ought to go to work in this country. You ought to participate in our capitalist system, pay your fair share of the taxes, go out and buy your house, be able to buy the furniture for your house, be able to put your kids through school. I mean, this is the dream of this country. I'm a kid that grew up in public housing. My mom said, look, you've got to go out and build your career on your own. Nobody's going to do it for you. She didn't want to go on any government programs. She wanted to make sure all of us took responsibility and were upstanding citizens and participated in the capitalist system of this country. She believed in this country. And I don't think my parents ever probably made $10,000 a year in their life.
Well, God bless. So basically, you're saying to Biden, look, I'm a tax cutter, and I'm for limited government. You're not a tax raiser. That's your message to Biden?
No, I'm never going to raise taxes, but I'm going to do everything I can to get you a job so you're part of our system. Biden's going to try to make you dependent on government, which is not good for your family.
Last question, Senator, with respect. Have you thought about modifying or expanding or explaining this one little paragraph that Biden is picking on?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're taking a lot of ideas from people. This is my idea. I think we have to have a plan for when we get a majority, which I think we will. We're getting ideas. We'll be making some changes over the next month. We'll be talking about a variety of new issues, and we'll explain, any questions people have, we're going to explain them. But my idea is, it doesn't have to be my plan, but let's have a plan when we get the majority so we get something done and turn this country around.
I got one for you. How about making the Trump tax cuts permanent?
Absolutely. We absolutely.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Do you think everybody should pay taxes? Remember that 61% of people here in the last full tax year that we have data on did not pay any federal taxes, or at least did not pay any taxes that were positive. So you may have paid some federal taxes, but then you got a refund, you got a stimulus check, and you didn't pay any positive taxes that ended up, the government got more money out of it than, got a positive amount out of it. If you paid, a couple $100 or $1,000 or something like that in federal taxes, but by the time you got refunds and you got your stimulus checks back, you ended up being at zero or negative. So, and then remember that this would include potentially people on Social Security, people that have already worked. This could include people on SSI, SSDI, and stuff, and people that are past working age. This would include, he says everybody, all Americans. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and regarding the national debt, regarding inflation. And I will keep you up to date here with everything, including this potential plan here and what might happen with it in Congress. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. You can click here to watch my newest stimulus check video coming out in a lot of different states and on the federal stimulus checks here for the next one as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.